Boom. Welcome back to Agent Tactics. My guest really doesn't need a huge introduction because his name does it for him. Phil Gerdes. I've had the pleasure of knowing Phil for about 4 years. We had the opportunity to go to a private mastermind with Tom Ferry a while ago, and that was the first time I got to really know Phil. And I can tell you, it has been a pleasure ever since. He does a lot of really amazing things for his agents locally, but he also does a lot of stuff on mindset and really helping agents. So I thought it'd be a great opportunity to maybe take an opportunity to not think about mindset, but mind shift. Phil Gerdes, thank you, buddy.
Thank you, man. Hey, again, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. And I'm very much looking forward to this. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, look, I could ask you a million questions, but I would love to hear you just riff and go because you're the man, and I'll interject you every now and then and pose some questions if everybody's okay with that. If you're okay with that in the chat, just drop a one real quick so I know you're alive. And Becky, I know you're driving, so I'll give you a pass.
No, do it while you're driving. No,
Yeah, yeah.
don't do it while you're driving.
Nice.
uh, yeah, definitely. I appreciate you, man, for sure. Seriously, I was thinking about you this morning. Um, I'll get into the whole topic, but I wanted to share this. I was thinking about you this morning, and I've been this person my whole life where somebody I get to know them, and then a word is associated with me and them. And I usually tell people, and then I said, I've never told Jeremy this. I've never said, hey, Jeremy, by the way, this is your word. And I'm not going to explain why right now,
Oh
but
no.
your
Okay.
word is resilience. It
Mm.
always has been. Your word for me has always been resilience. There's so many different hidden meanings behind why this is. And one, well, I'll tell you off air at some point. But dude, thank you. Kudos to you because that word, it's actually backed by what I get to see every time I see you. And I'm like, yeah, dude, he's just on there. Like, there he is again. Like he's just on it. So yeah, thank you. Appreciate you. Love you, dude. So
Thank you, man. Thank you.
for sure. For sure. Guys, I am going to just spend some time doing exactly what Jeremy mentioned. I'm just going to have a good time with y'all, chatting it up, and we can really just see where things go. I'd love to answer any questions that y'all have. When Jeremy came to me and I was talking about what I was doing and how, um, how it might play into the future and ultimately being on here with you guys, we talked about a topic and I said mind shift versus mindset because I think there's just a really big difference in the two. And what I don't want to do is make you think for a moment that this is some feel good mindset style chat for the next X amount of minutes because it's not. I hate those genuinely, wholeheartedly. But I've really come to learn and understand that the truth of the matter is most people see or hear mindset and two things happen, one or the other. The first thing is they're at a big conference and they hear mindset and they hear a great mindset coach or speaker and they're super jacked and super pumped. And then they're like, yes, and rah, rah. And the next day they forget 100% of what they heard and they go back to the exact person they were. Because the
Mm.
problem that I've come to learn when it comes to mindset is that the root of the word versus that tag on the back end, that set makes no sense in reality. Like what are we saying when we talk about mindset? You're literally anchoring your mind in something and saying it is set here and that is that and nearly nothing is going to change the way I think about things because my mind is set. And goodness, like how long can a person go that way? How long can a person go that route? I've been in business for a decent amount of time, I think, and I've come to learn that a lot of the things that I thought I knew, I think completely different about now. And that's okay. I'm allowed to change the way I see things and the way I see life and the way I react to certain things. And a great example would be I used to curse all the time, not because of any other reason than that's how I spoke. I just always cursed. I didn't think anything was even wrong with it. And then one day I made a decision, and that decision was okay, I'm not cursing again. And I went through a process and I said, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 5 push-ups every time I curse. And the first day I did 65 push-ups.
Mm.
And now some people might look at that and they say, well, dude, 65 push-ups the first day. And that's crazy, like that you failed miserably. I didn't. Number one, I don't mind doing push-ups. I'll do a bunch of them. I don't care. What I do mind is punishing myself for something I had full control over and I failed miserably at it. But then I thought to myself after that first day, did you even fail? Because Phil, you only cursed 13 times in 24 hours. 18 of them you were awake. 13, that's still a lot. It wasn't for me, guys. I'd curse 13 times in 3 minutes. I used to curse all the time. But I made this decision to change a piece of who I was because I felt like I'd be better for myself and then ultimately for everyone around me if I did. This has completely changed my entire life. What do I mean by that? Yesterday, my true story, last night, my wife is in the kitchen. I'm in the kitchen. I'm prepping some food, and someone that my wife and I are close friends with, we've been best of friends with since about 13, 14 years old. By the way, I've known my wife since I was 14. She was 13. She was staying at our house. This friend is staying at our house. And I went to the refrigerator and I said, oh, darn it, great googly boogly. And both of them started laughing. And my wife, Victoria, said, Bryn, Phil doesn't curse anymore. He hasn't for months. So you're going to hear these weird words like great googly boogly. And then it struck me. I am seen by the people I most want to be seen by as someone who does not curse. Well, think about it. Before I cursed, this wasn't a big deal at all. And I never thought about how people saw it. But the people that I truly want to be seen at my absolute heart now see me as this person that is not vulgar. So my question to you is, number one, hey, how are you seen by the people you most want to be seen by? And number two, what are you doing about that? Because for me, thanks for those hearts. I don't even know if you meant to do that, but they looked awesome. For me, my idea is I had to make a change. And ultimately, I had to make a shift. I had to make a mind shift. I had to say to myself, I can be steadfast in the fact that, Phil, you curse, or I can say, you know what? This isn't who you want to be any longer, so you're allowed to change it, make a shift. And then I start thinking about how does that affect everything that I do? How does that affect who I am? How does that affect 100% of how I show up, every place I show up? How does it affect how I work out at the gym? How does it affect how I show up to a listing appointment? How does it affect how I deal with buyers when they seem all over the place? And all I want them to do is say yes to the dress or say, yeah, I want to buy the house, right? And I know it's the right house for them, but they're scared, they're anxious, they're frustrated. Their parents are telling them this or their cousins telling them that. How do I show up for those people? Do I care more about the transaction or do I care more about the relationship and the connection and what it's going to do in the future for them, not me? Because all of this means that I'm willing to adjust what I thought I was or who I thought I was anytime it's necessary. But let me also tell you what not cursing did for me. What not cursing did for me is it forced me to figure out other ways to express who I am and what I am and how I am. And that was really amazing because what it also did was it allowed me, watch this, it didn't force me any longer. It allowed me to decide who I wanted to show up as for the people that were most important to me. Well, what does this have to do with real estate? I am an absolute firm believer in the airplane concept. Look, you get on an airplane, doesn't matter what plane you get on, you pretty much hear the exact same thing. If the cabin loses pressure, put on your mask before you assist anyone else. Now, I know if you're a flight attendant, you know the exact words. I'm not, I don't know them, but I'm also a dad. I've got a 16-year-old boy. I've got a 13-year-old girl. And if you're a parent, you've probably heard that. And every time, if you're anything like me, you've heard, you're crazy. I'm going to put those masks on my kids first. Then I'm going to put my mask on. And then I was in a meeting with a friend and mentor of mine, Phil M. Jones, and he brought a gentleman in who up until that time I never met. And then I was just struck by his incredible intelligence. His name's Dr. Greg Wells. And Dr. Greg Wells said, hey, do any of you, there's about 20 of us in the room. He said, do any of you know why they say that? And everyone's like, they just want you to put your mask on first. And he says, yeah, no, it's not that they just want you to put your mask on first. He said, do you have any idea how long you have before you pass out if an airplane cabin loses pressure? a minute, 2 minutes, whatever, 8 to 10 seconds. 8 to 10 seconds. All right, now watch this. I'm going to bring it full circle and then we're going to jump into some other stuff. But here's what I really want you to think about. I have 2 children, 16-year-old boy, 13-year-old girl. Take it back. Let's say I have a 1-year-old daughter and a 4-year-old son. Me putting my son's mask on first did 2 things. It said, daughter, you're going to die, and I'm okay with it. Son, you'll live the rest of your life knowing me and your sister died so you could live. Phil, you're an extremist, dude. That's a lot. It's not. It's actually the truth, because by the time I get my son's mask on, I'm going to pass out, my daughter's going to pass out, and then we're both going to die. Guys, this is how I work every business I've ever worked my entire life. I make a decision that I'm going absolutely all in. I've had this saying my entire life that is, work so hard, they think you cheated. Work so hard, they think you cheated, because you guys know it. You guys know that idea that we run across sometimes where we're like, where'd that person come from? How'd that happen? I'm launching a new coaching company right now. I was on the phone with Phil Jones last night, and he says, Phil, it's always great to talk to Phil and he's talking to Phil. So he says, Phil, do you realize that 6 months ago we were in Hudson, New York, and you had this thought and this idea, and I challenged you to make it so, and 6 months later, you are launching an entire coaching platform and launching your first annual event, and it's happened in 6 months? I'm like, dude, I know. But Phil, I haven't stopped working on it since I left you. In fact, Phil, when I left you, I got on a train and I went in on the train. Here's what I'm giving you. Here's what I'm saying to you. When we're thinking about mind shift versus mindset, my mindset prior to that meeting with Phil was other people do that. I mean, I know what I have and I know what I offer, and I talk to people one-on-one, and I do believe I'm a servant and I do my best to bless them and give them what I can give them, but that's what I'm here for. On a mass scale, maybe not. But I created this shift in my mind. Well, if they, then why not me? And to you, we can get tactical, and I can talk with you about my elite listing presentation and why the truth is why I have a 98.99% sign rate on listing appointments. 98.99% the day I go on the appointment. And I can talk with you about our buyer conversion SOP, where we show 3 houses, 3 homes, and they write an offer. I could go through the process. I could go through our simple sales cycle. I can go through our profitable persuasion method. I could go through all of our SOPs, and they wouldn't mean anything, because what they would typically be is another guy that told you why things work for him. And I am here to share with you that I mean nothing to you. This is a great time where we'll be together, and I'll answer every question I possibly can and give you anything, literally anything you ask of me. But please understand this. If we don't make a shift right here that connects right here, none of it matters. It will go in one ear, it will live there for 24 to 48 hours, and then life will hit you smack in the face again, and you will go back to exactly what you've been complaining about. I know this for a fact because I did it for way too long. So when we think about like bridging that gap between vision and action, when we think about like, okay, Phil, I want to adopt this mind shift. I want to adopt this mind shift. I want to say that whatever I need to do, wherever I need to go, however I need to get there, I'm willing to adopt that, but I need to bridge this gap because vision isn't paying the bills, Phil. Like, dude, I need to sell some houses. Like, I need to help these clients. Here's my outline for you on how to do that. I'm going to give you, we have this event in May called Shift 2025. By the way, my coaching company is, look, MindSHIFT isn't an accident. My coaching company is called Shift Immersive Coaching. And we launch our platform next month, and we launch our event in May. And it's really cool because you know, guys, here's what I know about myself. I'm really up for being inspired, but I really, really love for someone to cut through all the BS and just tell me exactly what to do, and I'll just go do it. Like, I'll just go do it. Just tell me exactly what to do, and I'll just go do it. So I'm going to give you a piece of what coaching with me actually is. The very first thing that we start with is changing what's in here about who we work with. See, I believe that most real estate agents work or want to work or strive to work with this avatar of a client that is almost unattainable for any agent. We look at these houses on Instagram and we see these 7, 8, 9, $10 million houses, and we're like, I want to work with those buyers. Where do I find luxury clients? All the while, you were put on earth to bless first-time homebuyers. Like, you are uniquely qualified to serve first-time homebuyers. So the very first thing we do in my Shift program is we talk about who you're uniquely qualified to serve. And we build our foundation on who you are uniquely qualified to serve, because they're already listening. And if they're not listening, they're definitely looking for you. All right, Phil, if that's what you do, show me how you do it. Cool. I'll show you right now. Number one thing we do is create a done it list. I truly believe that how you sell is irrelevant before you figure out what the people you're selling to actually need. So let's create a done it list. Let's figure out, if I need to know who I'm talking to, who I'm going to work with, why would they want to work with me anyway? We have this saying in real estate, we want to work with, or people want to work with someone they know, like, and trust. All right, well, they got to get to know us. They have to agree that they like us, and then we need to earn the trust that we want of them. The easiest route of getting there is to simply create a list of the things and the things that you've done and the person that you are. And then ultimately, when you create that for yourself, you end up with this really unique situation where you can identify, based on my accomplishments, not in real estate, in life, I am uniquely qualified to work with this segment of buyers or sellers. So my challenge is create a done it list. Go back as far as you want to go back. Doesn't matter. You want to go back to, hey, you know, I was 1 year old. I learned to walk. I don't care. Go back to wherever you want to go and just build a list of what you did. But what I urge you not to do is be timid with your list. Do not be timid with your list. What do I mean by being timid with your list? What I'm saying is, if you start discounting the accomplishments that you've had in your life, then you are discounting your opportunity to bless other people with who you are. Build a list of everything. Let me tell you what the list isn't, though. It's not. Over the past 3 years, I've been a real estate agent, and I've typically worked with downsizers. You know, I got a referral from a downsizer, and then that downsizer turned into another downsizer. No, you fell into that. That doesn't mean you're uniquely qualified to serve that person. Forget your accomplishments in real estate and focus on your done-its in life. And then I want you to break that done-it list into groups. It might be 2, 3, 4 groups. It might be 5, 6, 7 groups. But you're ultimately going to take your list and you're going to say, what connects? Out of all these things, what group? Like these are in common, and those are in common, and those are in common. And then you're going to ask ChatGPT, our closest of friends. We're going to say, I have 4 different types. I created a done-it list, and on this done-it list, I have 4 different groups of accomplishments that I've accomplished, of things that I've accomplished. And the group names are this, and this is everything in each group. When it comes to buyers of real estate and sellers of real estate, what segment of buyers and sellers would work best with me based on my accomplishments in life? And then you're going to ask someone else if they agree. But here's the secret. You're going to ask one person in real estate and one person out of real estate. Do you agree that based on what you know of me? Because then they get to associate how they feel about you in the answer. You're going to say, based on what this says, this groups, do you feel like this is a great segment of buyers or sellers for me to work with? And then you have your core. Then you have the person, as long as you agree with it, that you are uniquely qualified to serve. And now, guys, you build everything on that. You build your marketing plan on that. You build everything. But before I just say you build everything, I'm, again, going to just tell you how, right? Forget the feel good. Here's what to do, and here's how to do it. I promise you, it feels really good when you're getting it done. So here's how. All you do is figure out, now that I know who I'm talking to, what are they dealing with? What problems can I help them solve? After you figure this out, you are winning, because 2 things are going to happen if you activate yourself as an agent. Number 1, you are going to figure out how to market. And number two, whether you realize it or not, you are going to create for yourself a brand. Let me explain the difference. Brand is how you leave, or your product leaves a person feeling when they're through. Brand is how you or your product leaves a person feeling when they're through with it. Marketing is the means by which you tell them how to feel. So, Phil, I did this. I remember what you said, and I'm great with first-time buyers. Awesome. All you need to do now is figure out what problems are first-time buyers dealing with right now. For example, we just had a pretty darn significant rate decrease over the past couple of days. While the whole world is talking about rates went down, rates went down, rates went down, if your avatar was first-time buyers, this is literally what I would do today. I would grab my cell phone and I would create a video and I would just put this on my Instagram story and tag it on my Facebook story. And it would say something like this. You probably heard that interest rates went down, but you're also likely a little concerned because all your friends and family are going out finding houses right now. What are you going to do about all the competition? If you're thinking about buying your first home and you are overwhelmed, here's 3 things you can do right now to make sure that you don't get lost in the sauce as interest rates go down and competition continues to rise. That's it. And you give 3 things. Phil, I'm not good on video. Great. Write it. Just write a post. Well, Phil, what do you mean write it? I want to put it on Instagram. Great. Take some awesome pictures and create a carousel. Well, Phil, but I do want to do video. Great. Do all 3 of those things. Well, Phil, I don't want to overwhelm my market. That is called ego. Well, what do you mean that's called ego? Well, here's what I'll say to you. Do you realize that most people never see the things you post? I realize you posted 5 videos in 5 days, but most people saw 1 video and thought you never posted again all week. So don't ever assume that you're posting too much. I would argue there is not a real estate agent that posts enough. Now, here's how you know there is not a real estate agent that posts enough. Okay. I want you to go out and I want you to say to someone, have you heard of Phil Gerdes? And I almost guarantee you their answer will be, I absolutely have not. No, never heard of this guy in my life. Who is he? If they even care to know. That's because even though I post tons of content, I couldn't for the life of me keep up with all the people that aren't paying attention. Now, go out and say to the same person, hey, let me ask you, have you heard of Alex Hormozy? Alex Hormozy put, here's one better. Have you heard of Mr. Beast? These people post so much content, you can't get away from them. You can't hide from them. This is creating an air of omnipresence. So once you identify the avatar that you're uniquely qualified to serve, and then you identify the problems that you can help them solve, my answer to you next is very simply put, go post so much that when it comes to anything real estate related, you have created an air of omnipresence with that segment of people. And then I'm going to be quiet, but before I do, I want to share one thing. For the person, and it's okay, but for the person that's going to say, but Phil, then I'll never get to work with the higher end clients. I'm sorry, you're 100% wrong. You will. Because guess what's happening? While you're working with the first time buyer, their parents are watching what you're doing. And you're going to build so much value to the first time buyer while respecting everyone and everything in their life that they're going to go tell the people they know about it. And when those people are ready to buy or sell, they're going to say, let's at least meet with Jim or Bob or Phil. So just know that you're always being watched. So if you take on this idea of who am I most uniquely qualified to serve? What problems can I help them solve? And then as I'm helping them solve those problems, increase what I call my minimum standard of excellence. What is your minimum standard of excellence? I'll give you one quick example. Then I promise I'm going to just stop talking for a moment and take any questions or thoughts or see where Jeremy wants me to go. McDonald's, minimum standard of excellence. starts and ends with McDonald's. Yep, McDonald's, French fries, Big Macs, McDonald's. When I was a kid, McDonald's ran a promotion. And the promotion was that you'd have your food from the point when you order it to the point where they hand it to you in the drive-thru in 60 seconds or less. Now, I have 3 brothers, so I want you to walk through this journey with me. My mom drove one of the coolest cars in the history of the world. She drove a maroon Dodge Caravan. I know what you're thinking. Super cool, Mom, and you're right. One thing I noticed as a kid was when we hit the drive-thru and there was a 19-year-old guy in a Ford Mustang in front of us, he would get to the window and they'd hand him his food in 60 seconds or less. And then we'd pull up next and my mom would order and say, "What do you want?" And she's looking behind her, guys. She's driving, looking at the kids in the back. And then she'd tell them. And from the second we were done ordering, we'd get to the window and we'd have 5 different meals in 60 seconds or less. And it dawned on me that McDonald's didn't alter their minimum standard of excellence based on how many people you had in your car. They just said, no matter what, this is how we work. So what is your minimum standard of excellence? How fast do you call your leads? Well, I'll get to it when I get to it. I call within 5 minutes. If McDonald's can make 5 meals in under 60 seconds, you can pick up the phone and call a lead in under 30. Well, Phil, I don't have time to do that. Well, I would argue that you don't deserve to work with that client. I would argue that you need some support. I would argue that you should probably find a partner that can pick up some of the weight while you're working on the other clients or with the other clients. Well, I don't want to do that because I'd lose money. Well, then I would argue you're a transactional agent and you need to be thinking big picture. Well, what is the big picture, Phil? Well, the big picture is service. How do you serve other people in such a way that every and any time they think about anything real estate related, they think about you? Well, it's a real simple answer. Go back to not trying to work with everyone, but instead identifying who you're uniquely qualified to serve. At that point, identify the problems that they most often face. At that point, put out so much content solving their problems. Don't put out dancing videos pointing. Leave all that alone. Don't do those videos where you see a skier jump off a ski lift and then all of a sudden they land and it's you landing in the grass. Leave all that junk alone. Instead, talk to people like real human beings and serve them by solving their problems. And do it at a capacity and a rate and a consistency and a frequency that is so aggressively true that what ends up happening is they can't think about anyone but you when it comes to real estate. In fact, this morning I got a call from a friend and she said, "Phil, I want to sell my condo. I'm moving to West Virginia." We bought a house. My fiance and I bought a house in West Virginia, and the agent in West Virginia also has a license in Maryland. And my fiance said, "You want to just use this agent to sell your condo?" And here's what she says to me on the phone. She said, "This is exactly what I said." "What? No, I'm using Phil. I always use Phil." Craziest part about it, I haven't talked to her in over 4 years. But when she thinks real estate, she thinks Phil. Well, how do you do that? Well, because I've been talking to her for 4 years straight. Through putting out content that serves her. So everyone's not going to see everything, but when they're watching. So make sure you're actually talking.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm going to pause. Where are you guys at? Jeremy, what do you want me to go with?
Oh,
I know I can be kind of sharp, can't I? Yeah.
Buddy, I've never been more engaged in one of these calls than I am right now because you're hitting me in all the spots that are in my head. I want to open this up to a little Q&A. I mean, I could ask a million questions, but I really think it's best that you guys ask questions because this isn't about me, it's about you. So feel free to unmute yourself. Let's go. Let's ask Phil questions. Phil does have a coaching program. So if that's something you're interested in, I'll have him pop some info later about it. And then I'm going to DM him to get the information for myself because I need a mind shift as well. So what do we got? Jamie, Becky, Rambo. Who do we got? Kelly. I can't see everybody else.
Hey, Phil.
Yes. That's
Hey,
Jamie, right?
yep, yep. Hey,
Hey,
give us
Jamie.
an idea of like the frequency that you're posting, and for somebody who isn't up to that frequency, what would be a good place to like start the process as far as frequency? Because I like consistency, so if I'm going to do it, it's going to be consistent. But give us an
Yeah.
idea of where you are and maybe where might be a good place to start, I guess.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to answer that backwards because where I am is a little bit different, and I wouldn't do what I'm doing because I'm speaking to two different avatars. I'm speaking to buyers and sellers as a single avatar, but a particular type of buyer and seller. But I'm also speaking to agents because remember, I have a different avenue as well. So I think the best way for me to answer your question is to literally give you an entire posting strategy right here over the course of the next, what, it'll take me 4 minutes. You cool with that?
Absolutely.
All right, let me pull it up here because within our shift program, I actually teach this, and it's so darn solid. I mean, like just incredible gold. I think that it's a great starting point, Jamie, for people to say, okay, what do I need to post? How do I need to post it? Okay, let's start. Um, bear with me just a sec, and it is right here. Am I right? Banger. All right, so here's what I would do. This is, and I want to point this out. This is the minimum standard of excellence. This is like a starting point. Now, for the person that's going to say, but Phil, that's a lot. I know. I didn't say minimum standard. I said minimum standard of excellence. Work so hard they think you cheated. Make everyone else's goal your starting point, right? It's a whole different concept. All right. So here we go. Number one, 3 times a week. Oh, by the way, forgive me. I'm going to build all this for Instagram. You can do this anywhere, but I'm going to speak it to Instagram. All right. Number one, you're going to post 3 times a week a carousel post. You're going to post a carousel post 3 times a week. One of those posts are going to be guide driven or did you know driven or a cheat sheet. An example would be, hey, here's 5 steps to prep your home for sale. Guide driven. Another example would be, did you know that even with interest rates going down, competition is still super high? That's your first one. Your second one is a storytelling post. What's a storytelling post? These are all carousels, okay? Storytelling post is where you're going to share personal invites or achievement or insights or achievements like I achieved X by doing Y and here's what I learned. Right? So, I bought my first home by fixing my credit in under 30 days and here's what I learned about how easy it can be for anyone to do it. All right, example like that. The third one is an educational post. You're going to offer perspective on solving a problem that your audience is facing. So, an example would be the truth about market trends, what they mean for buyers and sellers right now. Boom. 3 carousels. That's it. Picture, 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 info, 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 done. The second thing, you're going to do this 2 times a week. You're going to post a reel. You're going to do a talking head reel and you're going to do a fun reel. A talking head reel is something where you just speak directly to the camera. A fun reel is going to be moments in your life. I call them the 4 F's. You call them, it would be friends, food, fashion, or fitness. Friends, food, fashion, or fitness. I want to highlight this. When I say fitness, I am not talking about you in the gym doing freaking workout poses. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you on a hike on a beautiful day and you pan across and you're like, yeah, I'm hiking, but look at insert your town that you're looking at down the mountain, right? Different, or look at the water or something like that. Okay. You're going to do that 2 times a week. 6 times per week, you're going to do a story post. 6 times a week, you're going to do a story post. You're going to do 1 to 6 story posts per day, 6 times a week. 1 to 6 story posts per day, 6 times a week. I would use 3 different tips here. I would do Q&As, I do polls, and I do behind the scenes. Q&As, polls, behind the scenes. And the last aspect of this before I give you a cheat code is engagement. 6 times per week, same time every time, you're going to engage. Meaning you're going to follow 50 to 100 accounts of your uniquely qualified avatar. That's a lot of people. No, it's not. There's billions of people on earth. 50 to 100 is nothing. You learn to count to 50 in first grade or kindergarten. It's nothing. You're going to follow 50 to 100 accounts that you know are your avatar. If you already follow them, that's fine. You're going to outline them. And literally 6 days a week, you are going to engage on their content. You're going to like, you're going to heart, you're going to share, you're going to comment their content. And you are never going to make this about you. It is about them. If someone posts a picture of their dog, do not say, oh, such a cute dog. You probably need a house with a nice yard. What are you doing? Like, what? No, make it about them. Such a cute dog. What's its name? Because all you're doing here, guys, is becoming top of mind. I don't want to work with you now. I want to work with you when you're ready. And if that's now, great. But I'm not going to work with you when you're ready, when every American knows roughly 8 real estate agents if I don't stay top of mind. Now, here's a cheat code. Right now, I've got a light here, a light up there, a soundboard here. You're on a camera here. I have a the thing that you talk and read on. What is that called? I always forget the name. Teleprompter. Yeah. So I'm looking at you on a screen because I'm screencasting to the teleprompter, and I've got a light bounce back over here, and I've got matte black. None of this stuff is necessary. You have every tool you need, and it lives in this send me to the moon device right here, an iPhone. If you start trying to get sexy, no one's going to pay attention. Please just shoot your content just like this. But don't I need a gimbal? Here's your answer. No, you don't. You have a man-made gimbal or a God-made gimbal. It's called your hand. Hold your phone with your hand and shoot your content. In other words, what I'm saying is, you asked a question, Jamie, and I love that you asked it because it blesses everybody. When I talk about this outline and I say, look, this is a minimum standard of excellence and it works, just do it. The next thing people tend to do, not saying you're doing this, but the next thing people typically do is say, well, here's 6 reasons why that won't work for me. I haven't even tried it, but here's 6 reasons why that won't work for me, even though a guy that has 100 and something thousand TikTok followers, almost 30,000 Facebook or Instagram followers, and not nearly enough YouTube followers. We're working on that. But even though a guy that clearly is doing it and has done it, it works for him. He's special. Well, he's bald. He's got a beard, so that's why it works for him. What? Come on. A friend of mine, his name's Bishop Frederick Hardy. He told me one day, he said, Phil, one thing I know is that people will stub their toe and give that as the excuse they can't do something. Dude, we are great at finding reasons not to do things. I'm here to encourage you to shift the way you think so you always find reasons why you can achieve anything. Hope that helps, Jamie.
Phil,
awesome, man. Yeah, for sure.
Phil, I have to say, you're very impressive to most people that haven't stumbled across you yet. I'm getting private messages from people on this call. I'm not going to call them out, but Phil is both very scary and very impressive. So that is.
Thank you, I guess. Look, I'm not. Let me say it. I think this is important to know. Like I have. I'm not a. Best way to say it. Everything that I haven't done, it's been grit. It's been guerrilla. It's been attack. So I'm hard. I'm just a hard human that loves people so much. I don't know what to do about it. Like, I just love. I know I'm on earth to serve. So sometimes I just come out and I just hit you with fire like a darn dragon. But it's only because I know it's chilly in the room and you need to be heated up. So just know, like, everything I'm giving you is out of absolute love because I know you can do it. And then when someone says, but Phil, you don't even know me, how do you know I can do it? Well, because you wouldn't be here if you couldn't do it. This isn't an accident. Of all the humans on earth that could have been here, we are here together. And I believe that that means something. So, yeah, I get it. I'm scary sometimes, but I love you more.
Martha's asking me a direct message as well. When are we going to get the recording? I try to have these out tomorrow morning. And so I have a 11 o'clock team meeting here. And so we usually talk about how soon we'll get this out. So usually it'll go live on my YouTube channel, and then you'll see the email out right after that from page on my team. So I'll try to get the recording out. As we've been on here, you've said some really impressive things. I've notated different times to send to my that I sent to my videographer to cut clips. There was 3 in particular, and these are the 3 that caught me. If you found value in these 3, let me know. And then I want to hear from you what else you found value in so far from Phil. 23 minutes in, you talked about the interest rate script. I thought that was phenomenal. 29 minutes in, you talked about McDonald's and the minimum standard of excellence. And 35 minutes in, your posting schedule. Curious, whatever else you guys think that you found value in so far with Phil.
Nothing.
Nothing. That's it, buddy.
No,
All the
I think
above.
that your concept of like figuring out who you are uniquely served to qualify is gold. And I've kind of been on that journey myself, and I didn't even have the words to explain what it is. But yes, I think that's awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, and it's not to say you can't work with anyone. It's just to say that you build your foundation with the people you're uniquely qualified to serve. So.
And I think that what I've found is like it is easier for me to make content, write blogs and things like that because I have confidence now in who I'm serving. I'm not trying to serve every buyer and seller. I'm like, these are the people that I want to work for because this is what I know and this is how I can help them because I understand something that they're going through.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed.
Amazing.
I think Kelly was going to say something. I might be wrong.
Kelly, let's hear from you.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I really like how you talked about, just because you're working with certain people, you may have fallen into that because they referred other people or this. I feel like I'm in that scenario in some scenarios. So I'm trying to figure out like, well, who is my avatar? Who do I want to work with? Who am I qualified to work with? So really just scaling down on that. And I like the way you said, you can find that out by everything you've done in the past, put it all into GPT and ask, who is, find out who that avatar is. Because that's what my issue is trying to figure out, well, I work well with first-time homebuyers. I also work with people that are trying to downsize or upsize or whatever. And it's like, well, who is it? Who is my avatar that I want to create content for,
Yeah. And you're going to be the person that they talk about and they tell their friends about and everything else. So the growth is still going to happen. It's just going to happen with your tribe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's why I find so much value in running a YouTube channel and doing a YouTube channel. I know a lot of people on here come for YouTube, and next week we're actually doing a full YouTube mastermind. I have 5 amazing agents, including myself, that have crushed it on YouTube. Coming back to do a YouTube kind of panel carousel and do some channel reviews. But why I found so much value in doing YouTube is that the people that come to me, I used to call expireds and withdrawals. How many of you have called a client that doesn't necessarily want to work with you and you've had to force them to try to work with you, or you've tried to, right? Well, the value in what I do on YouTube creates the client that does want to work with me. And it's the same thing when you're doing what Phil's talking about on your Instagram. So, I mean, he's talking about doing this specifically on Instagram. You could take this to a different platform, right? It doesn't have to be Instagram, but the foundation of what he's saying, hitting people with what they, not necessarily dancing videos. You can make those educational as well, but giving the people what they actually deserve and need to hear. I think that's where Phil is just like beyond hitting the mark. So thank you, Phil.
Thank you. Thank you. So
go ahead. No.
Well, I was gonna say, if you're cool with it, I'd like to invite everyone to our event in May. So I talked to you about coaching. We have an event called Shift 2025. It's in May. Super excited about it. We haven't launched to the public yet, but we haven't even, let me tell you how much we haven't launched to the public. We're only including 100 people. We have a certain amount of VIP tickets. I've launched this only to my coaching clients. All the VIP tickets are sold out. But I'm putting this link in the chat. Let me make sure that is the correct link. Yeah, so I put the link in the chat for the event. This is not our landing page. This is literally just for my coaching clients. But I want to share it with you guys now because we launched public tomorrow, and I'm pretty sure we're just going to sell out pretty darn quickly. But that link will take you to the landing page for my coaching clients. And I'm going to offer you guys the opportunity to join us before we actually go public if you'd like to get set up. And then if you're interested in actually talking about coaching, then we are launching our new coaching platform next month. So we'll get more details out for you guys on that. And if you're not following me on Instagram, I'd love for you to do that. It's super hard to find me. It's my name, Phil Gerdes. Very complicated. I'd like to keep it that way. So PHILGERDES, and you can find me on Instagram, and you'll get more updates on what's happening with our coaching platform being, our new platform being launched, and then more info on the event. Yeah.
Where's the event being held?
Annapolis, Maryland. Yep.
I've never been to Maryland. I might have to go CPG.
Dude, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Real South agents. I saw you, Jamie. You followed, and now I'm gonna follow you back.
Nice. Yeah. I thought the other day, so I clicked on because I have 2 Instagrams. I clicked on it. I was like, I'm not following Phil. Holy crap. I feel like crap. I clicked on, I realized it was the new Instagram I started. I was like, okay, all right. Oh my God. Because I see your stuff all the time. I'm like, wait, how am I not following Phil? So it was the other Instagram. We're good. We're good. It was the burner account.
Exactly. All right. I mean, anything else you got, Jeremy, or anyone here?
Yeah. What are the questions you have? I mean, I always have a million questions, but I have the ability I can text you directly. So
exactly. You can always chat. So
yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to focus on finding my avatar.
Yeah. I think the avatar concept is killer. When what it does is it gives you this connection to what you're doing and who you're doing it with. And then it puts you in a position where you can be incredibly confident about the content you're putting out. And then I would also say the content that we put out to market ourselves, you end up having better results with it because you're actually serving that avatar. And so they want to engage with you because you keep speaking to exactly what they didn't even realize they were thinking about. Like everything you do connects with them. So.
I love it. I can't wait to put so I put the playbooks out. They'll probably be out next week. So what we do is we take everything you talked about and put it into an actual playbook. I can't wait to actually, I don't put them together. My assistant does. So I can't wait to actually read the playbook. My assistant works together. So if you haven't found those, they're on my Stand store. I'll throw those in the chat in a second, but there's tons of really good ones. I've actually read some of the ones that we've done. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I can't believe I put this out. To be fair, I don't put it out.
You put it out. We're saying you put it out.
Yeah. I want to ask you the question. At the beginning of this, you said, Jeremy, the word I have for you is resilient. Why did you choose that word for me? I'm curious.
On camera?
Yeah, man. I want to hear it.
You sure you want me to answer this question right now?
Yeah, buddy. I want everybody to hear. You know what? I'm willing to hear good and bad feedback on myself.
There's no bad. It's not bad. It's very good. It's just personal to you.
Okay.
So I'm don't you guys think like this is a weird guy or anything. This is how I am. I just very much create or sense people's energy and how they feel. And every time I remember like when I first met you, it was like, oh dude, he's cool. But there's something weighing on him. And I wonder what it is. And then I just kept like every time we were at an event together, I would say, yeah, dude, that's just such a cool guy. But there's something weighing on him. And then I figured out a piece of what I thought it was. I'm not actually going to say this on camera because this is going to be on YouTube. But then I figured out a piece of what I believed it was. And then I actually, if I'm right, I watched you reconcile with what it was. And then after you reconciled with what it was, I watched your whole demeanor change. And then your demeanor changed, and then your body changed. And I was like, oh, dude, yeah, that stress is now gone because he's found inner peace with it. And now he's focusing on him. And then every time I see you, dude, you're like smiling and you're in better shape than you were the 2 months prior to when I saw you, or 6 months prior, whenever it was. And it's like, well, this is crazy. Like, if I'm right, what Jeremy had to coach himself through couldn't have been easy. But look what happened when he did it. Look what happened when he just was like, you know what? I'm good. And you're the essence of resilience, dude. Like, a lot of people, in my opinion, would have been no and spiteful, again, if I'm right. But instead you were just, I feel like you came to terms with something, and then when you came to terms with something, you said, and watch me work. And to me, it's sort of like changed every aspect of what I know you of, or as rather. So I'll tell you later what it was. I don't think you want me to say it on camera.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good. No, I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
definitely.
I've definitely had a mind shift, especially over the last, I'd say 8 months.
Yeah, brother.
And what's interesting, I have seen it and I've noticed it. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, I see it and I've noticed it too, man. And I love you, dude.
Thanks.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a good way to end. What do you think?
I do. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Of course.
I just, it's a lot about mindset. I think if our mindset is right, because I've had some issues with my mindset, and if we don't have our mindset right, then we can't, accomplish what we want to accomplish. So when you can fix that, just got to figure out where's the blockage? Where's that blockage coming from? So, yeah.
Good stuff.
Thank you.
I've enjoyed this, guys. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Phil. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for gracing us with your amazing presence. And his information's there. Make sure you find him on Instagram. Make sure you do me a favor. Find him on Instagram and just DM him just DM him and tell him what you appreciated from this this call today. I'm sure he'd love to hear that. I mean, he's a guy that loves encouraging words. So let's all send him some encouragement. I know he'd love that too. So thank you, everybody. We will see you next Thursday, 10 a.m. YouTube roundtable. I'm excited about it. We got some great people coming on. Rosh Zahu, Chase Giles, Sean Jardine. I'm doing an event in Phoenix with her very soon. I'm so excited about her. And then Preston Gale. And we're going to do YouTube channel reviews. So we'll see you next week. Thank you so much, Phil.
Love you, brother. See you.
Thanks, buddy. Thank you.